This Monday.com ad was created by a team of people and AI agents. Reese, our content agent, wrote the copy based on our best practices, like mentioning Monday.com 3 times. That was the second. Johnny, our coordination agent, built the timeline and kept everyone aligned. Olivia, our human creative director, stayed in the loop. Because agents are great, but they don't always know when a joke lands. She had one note: tell listeners it only takes minutes to build an agent. So, minutes. Create your own AI agent today on Monday.com.
One thing I've noticed about Azure Standard is that it changes how you think about your home. Instead of running out for one thing at a time, you start thinking about abundance. A well-stocked pantry, a thriving garden, meals shared with family. It's a different approach to living. Explore what Azure Standard has to offer at azurestandard.com and shop this month's Waves of Abundance deals. Azure Standard, family owned and operated. Shop today at azurestandard.com.
All big changes start with a swift kick in the...
Welcome to another episode of A Swift Kick in the Ass. This is your host, John Curren. Today I have with me Dr. Steven Sanders. He is a board-certified physician, MD, as well as Masters of Public Health, and he's the founder of Whole Men's Health. He works with high-performing men, all different walks of life, who look successful on paper, but they're struggling in other areas. And I think that's just about every man out there, quite honestly. I'm Dr. Sanders, welcome to the show. I really look forward to the wisdom that you're going to share with all of us. I consider myself a high-performing man. I've always been active. I've always, I'm always driven. And honestly, when I don't work at the gym, I work out in the gym anymore because I do martial arts. And
very cool.
And so I kind of changed the way I approach fitness. But the way I've always approached fitness is I want to be able to do whatever is thrown at me.
Absolutely.
And you just don't know what's going to be thrown at you, especially these days. And, if some opportunity comes up to like go hiking or, do something physical, I want to be able to do that and not have to like train or I think it's easier to stay in shape than get out of shape. But I'm not the doctor. You are.
No, man, you've got life experience. I think you're spot on. Thanks for having me, John. Excited to be here and excited to discuss men's health. And I think you're spot on. I think longevity in men's health is about being as functional, as is capable, and performing as long as you humanly possibly can. And that's what it's about. So if it's martial arts, if it's taekwondo, if it's whatever that looks like for you, stay in that lane and do your best so that you remain functional, mobile, perform to high levels, and so that life is beautiful.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I have a friend of mine who always says health is wealth.
Yeah.
If you don't have your health, nothing else really matters. But I think having health health is wealth, and it enables you to live a much fuller life. So how do you help men, and maybe what's the most common problem that you see? I'll just say men my age, so that way I always like to learn a lot.
No, that's a great question. So a little bit about me: physician by training, entrepreneur at heart, husband, father of 4 good kids. And really, how I got into men's health was totally accidental. In my late 30s, everything on paper looked really good. Great career trajectory, great practice, great kids, happily married. But in reality, I hit a wall, and I hit a wall hard. Brain fog, fatigue, low libido. I was operating at maybe 30 to 40% of what I was capable of doing. And in my late 30s, I really began to think, hey, my best days are behind me, not ahead of me. And that absolutely scared the hell out of me. Fast forward, I always take my kids to Colorado during the summer, and we just hike in the mountains, bike in the mountains. We're outside pretty much 24/7. And one of my kids takes a photo of me. when we're out biking. And I look at that photo a couple of days later and I don't recognize that guy. Just, he does not look like the picture of vitality, just looks worn out, fatigued, about 60 pounds overweight. And really, from the moment I saw that photo, I said, hey, something has drastically got to change. And over the next 15 to 18 months, I went on this radical health transformation journey and transformed my life from the inside out. But what I figured out in the process was that, look, I'm a physician. And if I know what I'm supposed to do, I know the hoops, I know the things that you need to do. And I was struggling. How many millions and millions of men
Yeah, that's
are
true.
struggling, don't have the answers, don't have a playbook, don't have a framework, and that are just out there. And so that's how I got into men's health. It was totally accidental, but I absolutely love it. I'm absolutely passionate about it, about getting up every morning and helping men thrive in every season. And so, really, guys come with us. I would say the number one complaint they come in with is, Doc, look, I'm just fatigued. I'm not who I used to be.
You
I've
nailed it
lost
right
my
on the
drive.
head.
Yeah.
From I went exact like when you what you just described, I went through it. But I will
Mhm.
add that, and someone took a picture of me. It was right after my dad died, and I was out fishing with my buddy.
Yeah.
Um, and had my shirt off, and my friend who was overweight, and I mean everyone knew it. He knew what fat was. He
Yeah.
told me, he's John, you look like a marshmallow. And he was absolutely right. Like I was like the Pillsbury Doughboy. And
Right.
and it's something I had noticed before, and
Hmm.
people were saying, you're just getting older. You
Right.
just need to accept, my brother-in-law, in fact, said, "Oh, you're just one of those guys who's going to fight getting older, aren't you?" And I was like, "Hell yeah, I'm going to fight."
Every single day, I'm going to fight it.
Yeah. So, so I mean, you hit the nail. Like, I think a lot of men experience all of that, and we just, it's a product of just adapting to life. You have 4 kids. If that doesn't wear you down, I don't know what doesn't. I have 3.
Yeah.
Eh,
It's a beautiful thing, but you're
oh, it's a
exactly right.
beautiful. Oh yeah, no, it's absolutely beautiful, and it's a part of life. And I think as a father and a man, you want to be your best so you can set the best example for your children, so you can live your best life and show your children what that means. You know, I think that's what a lot of men strive for. But then we start getting older and our bodies change. And women say the same thing.
Hmm.
And they've got childbearing against them, which absolutely messes with your body. I
It
mean,
does. It's a hormonal roller coaster.
yes. I mean, I love women and I bow to women. I respect,
No doubt.
I respect all women and mothers especially. But this is about men and our challenges, and we do face these challenges, and a lot of just men will just settle and just say, yeah, you're right, I'm just getting older. And some men will in fact embrace it and say, hell with it, I'm drinking my beer and I'm not exercising, I'm smoking cigars, and
Yeah.
that's my life.
I think you're spot on. I mean, we've almost become conditioned to accept that, look, this aging process, you're just going to feel bad. You're going to have lots of aches and pains, and it's just this
It's
continued decline.
not
I don't
true.
believe it has to be that way. I think that is totally false. We've just been conditioned to believe that.
So when you hit your, I guess your moment of your teachable moment, or I
Yeah.
guess you'd call it,
It was it
when
was teachable. Yes.
when the flags went off,
Yeah.
were you experiencing pain as well?
I was beginning to just feel bad. I would have
Like the brain
occasional,
fog you mentioned.
yeah, brain fog and just occasional joint pains. I was about 60 pounds overweight. And so that weight, that extra weight that I was carrying was obviously contributing to some joint pain. And I noticed that, hey, I was markedly more fatigued than I used to be. And you should not be that way in your late
Right.
30s.
So I went when I had that brain fog,
Yeah.
I used this stuff called acetyl L-carnitine.
Yeah.
And it seemed to lift me. I mean, I used it for a while. Um, in fact, I have a big, I can't do product placement, I guess, but, uh, but I used it quite frequently, and man, it really did. Like I went through a period of depression. Before I had a co-host on this show when I first started back
Yeah.
in 2014. He died of brain cancer in 2020. So
Gosh.
during that time was about the time, well, actually, at 2013 is when I experienced started doing the brain
Hmm.
fog. But
Right.
by 2020, after I lost my co-host, who was childhood friend,
Yeah.
that's when gosh, I mean, that's when it really mentally age, started to hit. And
Right.
I don't really believe in using antidepressant. I mean, they have their place,
Yeah.
and I used antidepressants to get through it and to get out of that
Right.
cycle.
Yeah.
But it was a baby dose, and I weaned myself off as soon as I could. But I started taking well, maybe I did it before even. I don't know. Maybe that didn't, I don't even remember. I tried so many different things, and I think
Yeah.
that's what a lot of men do, right? But when do you have to wait until all these red flags go off?
That's a great question. And here's my view on that now. 10 years ago, I used to have a totally different view. I think now, because of the culture and the lifestyle that we live, we're very sedentary people. A lot of
Yes.
us are. Our diets totally suck because we eat a lot of processed foods historically as Americans. We have a lot of environmental toxins and chemicals and different things like that. I now tell guys in their early 20s, let's go ahead and let's get baseline labs on you. Let me see what your total testosterone is doing. Let me see what your free testosterone. Let's check your thyroid. Let's get baseline labs so that we know as you progress through the different seasons and aging, we know what your baseline is and we know to go ahead and attack things early. So you're spot on. I think now we should not wait for the red flags to be there. I try to teach guys, we know the trajectory, we know the framework and map. Let's work on that so that each decade can be absolutely
Yeah.
incredible.
You know, two couple things. So right before I was about to turn 50, I had a goal, really. I wanted to
Hmm.
be in the best shape of my life when I was 50. And I
Love it.
was working out at the gym, and I was feeling strong, and I've always worked out, and like when I was 28, that was my peak. I got up to 205,
Oh, well,
and I was like a beast. But I
love it.
was working like 6 days a week,
Yeah, yeah.
like washboard abs, and
Right.
you know, it was great. I had a
Yeah.
Corvette. Yeah,
You're in the whole package, man.
life was great.
That's
But
right.
those things change.
Yeah.
And I was walking into the grocery store on a winter night where it was kind of rainy, and I slipped. I didn't quite fall, but I caught myself before I hit the ground, which probably did more damage. I herniated 3 discs
Oh, wow.
in my lower
Gosh.
back
Yeah.
and had sciatic nerve pain. Ended up having an epidural cocktail of steroid and I can whatever it was.
Right. Yeah.
That to me set me like I wanted to be in the best shape of my life when I was 50, but life had other plans for me,
Yeah.
and I had experienced chronic back pain before because I have sedentary. I work a desk job,
Yeah.
I have worked a desk job for a long time and worked out, but like most men, oh yeah, I worked out. Upper
Yeah.
body didn't
That's it. Yeah.
di- and you can only like when I say I was 28 and I was like a beast, yeah, but my legs were like pencils, you know? I mean,
You are spot on because really muscle is the key to longevity. And now muscle, particularly the glutes, are where the money is because it prevents falls, it stabilizes everything. Like it is, if you're going to do one exercise, do something to build your glutes, because that is going to be the key to longevity.
Okay. So right before I'm a second degree black belt in a mixed martial arts, kind of loosely based on
Yeah,
Taekwondo, but
right.
has Muay Thai, it has boxing, it has
Love it.
self-defense. It's just it's called
Yeah.
blast martial arts. It is a blast. But
It's intense, it sounds like.
yeah, no, it's so much fun. But and my son is a second degree, or I'm sorry, he's a third degree black belt
Okay.
because I sat there and like a parent, I watched him go through the karate since he was like 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
He was going through, he's 15 now. Go through, watch him. I decided to join, but I'm in like, I'm overcoming like my back issues and I'm feeling weak. I'm, coming out of this brain fog. I'm, like you described,
Yeah.
like a mess. They didn't think I was going to make it through the program, but I did. And the more I pushed myself, like I felt it in my hips
Mm-hmm.
right before I got to black belt. And what you were saying is like with the glutes, I mean, my back was very strong, but my stomach was weak. It threw off my back. I go to a chiropractor now
Yeah.
every couple weeks, and that has helped considerably.
Love it.
But I do a lot of like I'm doing mobility exercises now, like deep squats
Yeah.
and movement, movement in that to me is key. But I think a lot of men, I know that erectile dysfunction and everything, they come to you. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a red flag, honestly. If you're having problems in the bedroom, I mean, all men, you don't want to have problems in the bedroom. So,
No. And erectile dysfunction is not just one thing, it's multiple things wrapped up in one disease process. And so you're exactly right. I think going back to what you were talking about in your 20s versus your 50s, or late 40s
yeah,
to early
right.
50s, I love the way that you have pivoted, but you've kept a strong goal to keep achieving, because your 20s are different than your 30s and 40s and 50s. And I tell guys all the time, you're going to have to pivot and modulate what you do from
Yeah.
a physical standpoint, from an emotional standpoint, spiritual standpoint, because you're consistently changing. But I love, man, what you're doing. That you set that goal, you're doing that with your son. That's impressive,
Thank you
despite
so much.
injuries. It really is.
Well, the karate, it does help. Like I'm surprised I haven't injured myself because of like moving wrong or something. Like
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
how a lot of people say that went away. I injured myself because I was kicking wrong,
Mhm.
or because my foot got caught in between someone's knee and elbow.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
got squashed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean physical damage, but I love it, and I mean I'm going to keep going as long as I possibly can. But just for everyone out there, you mentioned testosterone. I'm 59, I'm almost 59 and a half, and my testosterone is like a 35-year-old's.
You're
It's,
ahead of the curve.
it's
Yeah.
like,
I
I
love
don't
it.
have a problem with testosterone, but I hear like isn't excessive testosterone, can't that be an issue? I mean,
It can be, and so there are really two camps now that we're seeing. One, we're seeing guys come in when they're 18, 19, 20, and they have low testosterone. And that's a lot of that is,
so why is that?
I don't think it's in medicine, we use this term multifactorial. I really think it is multifactorial. I think it's nutrition. A lot of younger guys eat a lot of processed food, things that are in
Okay.
wrappers. It's absolutely horrible. It will trash your hormones. I think we're dealing with so many endocrine disruptors now, just in the water, in different chemicals, household chemicals, detergents, deodorants, all different things. I think we're a much more sedentary people now than, 50 years ago. And I'll tell you another one, and guys that are particularly younger, it's excessive porn use, and it rewires the circuitry of the brain. It impacts dopamine, it impacts testosterone production. So I think we're seeing just a culmination of that. And
Yeah.
then from a physiologic standpoint, after you get age 30, testosterone can start being reduced by 1% each year. And so, when you're 30, that clock starts typically ticking. And then you add on, poor nutrition, you're not getting the
Yeah.
micronutrients, you're sedentary, you're not lifting weights, you're watching excess porn. All those
So
things
yeah,
just
so
sort of
tell me about
culminate.
this. So the porn. Now I have a long time ago actually. I knew this guy. He had a beautiful fiance.
Yeah.
I mean, she was gorgeous. And
Yeah.
like it was one of those people that I lost touch with and then found out, like what happened to them later on.
Right.
And they had plans to get married. I don't think they ever got married. It fell apart, and it fell apart because of porn. He couldn't get it up for
Yeah.
her physically with and she was good. But I mean, this
Yeah.
we're also much younger. So she was, I mean, truly, you know, in her prime and
It,
everything.
yeah.
And I
I
guess
can't
that's a
begin.
physical, right? I mean,
It
that's a
is.
mental right
It's
thing.
well, it's one of those multifactorial processes that there is a physical piece, there's a mental piece, there's a physiologic piece, there's a hormonal piece. I can't begin to tell you guys that are 20, 21, 22 that will reach out and they'll typically message me on TikTok and say, "Hey doc, I'm very concerned. I want to have this relationship, but I am having significant problems with erectile dysfunction. What do I do?" And I always lead them back to, "Hey, are you consuming porn? Tell me about your nutrition. Tell me about your sleep. Tell me about your movement.
What's
And have you had,
normal? What's no like masturbate? I mean, masturbate. What's normal?
yeah. I don't, so here's the deal. I don't know that there's a normal range. Now, there's been some studies that say this. If you masturbate more than 21 times per month, that there may be a significant reduction in prostate cancer because basically what they're thinking is that the fluids, the seminal fluids and
Clearing
different
out.
things exactly are clearing the junk out.
Okay. Yeah.
So there's some data behind that. I don't know that there's normal range. There's a lot of guys that say, "Hey, they're particularly married. I don't want to masturbate. I don't want to, I
Right.
don't want to do any of that. I'm just going to save that for sexual intercourse." And I think that camp is probably the best way to do it,
Yeah.
because
Because it involves a
porn,
partner and
exactly, and it's
it
physical
brings you
intimacy and
closer.
connection. Absolutely. So, I think in an ideal world, you have to marry. What is that? What do the studies say? But you also have to look at relationships, intimacy, and
Hmm.
sort of core values, and marry those two together.
That's interesting because you always, I mean, let's just face it. If you watch TV or you're on social media or whatever, you're a man, you're inundated with I mean, all sorts of different
No question.
medication and
Yeah,
everything for us with ED. And let's just face it, sex sells.
it does.
That is nothing new. And like I remember my dad, I was he I was talking to my dad a long time ago. I was like, Dad,
Yeah,
I don't, I went to church and I just can't focus, on like what the
right.
priest is saying because
Yeah,
like there's so many good looking women there,
right.
and I'm like, and he just laughed and he's like, son, that's why God made women.
That's it. And here's the deal: God made sex, and sex is a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
I really believe
absolutely.
that. I
Yes.
think it's a beautiful thing, and it is guys are very in tune to sex, and so we want to be able to perform at every season. I think you can still have phenomenal sex when you're 70, 80, 90, as long as you're doing the disciplines and you're keeping your body and your mind as a whole
Yeah.
and functioning the way it needs to.
Yeah. So that's no, that's good. I think this is hopefully the listeners are taking away that this is a you know, long range plan. This is a
Absolutely.
big picture view, and there are gonna be times where, maybe you're not doing the healthiest things for yourself. Like you're going out on a cruise and celebrating,
Yeah,
or whatever. You gotta enjoy life. But
absolutely.
I think that keeping yourself in shape actually enables you more resilience, honestly. And this show is about resilience and personal growth. And what does that mean? To me, it means is you're able to deal with the adversities of life and come back to this core person that you are.
Yeah.
And, life is up and down, and you don't know what's going to come your way. And hopefully it's all good. And you're like, you get an
Right.
opportunity. Hey, you want to come, do this? And you're like,
Yeah.
and it's not going to be your shape, like your physical shape. And same, like to connect it back to sex. You're like training. I mean, you want to be prepared,
Yeah.
uh,
Absolutely.
and be partnered as well and have that connection, physical and mental and spiritual, quite honestly.
Yeah. No, I think it all intermixes. And my thoughts are this is that I think particularly in American healthcare, we've almost had this paternalistic model where, hey, your doctor he'll dictate everything and take care of everything for you. And that's a lie. Like that way of
Yes.
thinking needs to go totally out the door. The healthcare system is a sick care system. It takes care of sick people. You are the CEO of your health. You need to do the disciplines. You need to get sleep, nutrition, training, movement, all those things, but you need to take ownership. Nobody is coming to save you.
Right.
Period.
You know what? I love that. I was raised, that's the way I was raised.
Yeah.
Um, not to, I mean, do it, you can call it do it yourself or look after yourself. No one is
Right.
going to look out after your interests better than you. And
That's
quite
it.
honestly, um, so much of our life is driven by how we feel.
Yeah.
And no one can tell you how you feel. You own your feelings. They are
Hmm.
yours.
That's right.
No one actually makes you feel anyway. And I
Yeah.
want people to comment if they believe me. Fight me on this, okay? Because I control my feelings. I own them. If
Hmm.
you come into my life and piss me off, that's because I let you get to me,
Yeah.
you know, and I'm giving you my time, which is precious to me, and I will bring that back so quick. It's just not even funny.
No,
Um,
I think that's
you
it.
have to
Look,
value
if
your time and
you
value
do,
yourself.
yeah. And if you invite me to the circus, if you invite me to chaos, just because I get an invitation doesn't mean I'm going to the circus or I want the chaos. So
That,
I have the ability to set a boundary and say no.
yeah. So this is perfect. I love this. So this show has, a lot. There are a lot of men that watch this show.
Yeah.
That's a basis of my audience between like 35 and 60 something, I
Love it.
think. But, you know, I think this is going to be so perfect, like for men
Yeah.
to hear all of these things. You don't have to feel like crap. Uh, and
Absolutely not.
and age really is just a number. And going to the women, like look at all the like Raquel Welch,
Yeah.
Sophia Loren, look, Barbara Eden.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
They are they're older women now, but they have taken care of themselves and they're just as beautiful as ever. And I mean, I think and look at men, look at the men too.
Yeah.
And I'm secure enough to, there are handsome men out there and they're good
Absolutely.
looking men.
Yeah.
You think they don't work at it and like pay attention to diet and exercise and um, diet. Uh, I went through a period like it was back when I felt like the marshmallow. Okay.
Yeah.
That was one thing that raised the red flag for me when my
Hmm.
fat friend was like, dude, you look like a marshmallow.
Right.
And I'm always the skinny guy, you know?
Yeah.
And so for him to say that, it carried a lot of weight. But my daughter, my middle child, she was at that age to where she was like right at the perfect height, right around my waist, where she'd give me a huge bear hug. And she was
Hmm.
really super strong. Brought me to tears one time.
Oh,
And I
wow.
was like, something is wrong. Because I'm not a wimpy guy. I'm
Right.
not a crybaby or
Yeah.
anything
Yeah.
like that, And it brought tears to my eyes, and I something is wrong. And that marshmallow was inflammation
Hmm.
because I went to an allergist. Like I had been going, been going through chiropractors, doctors.
Yeah.
Physically, I was good, but I went to an allergist, got tests, and found out that I had sensitivities to a bunch of different things. To do it, I did an exclusion diet and then started bringing things in and found out that dairy products was my trigger. And I gave up dairy products and the weight, it wasn't the weight, it was the inflammation and it was the muscle tone
Hmm.
as well. Came back and my daughter the best thing was my daughter could give me the hugs
I love
again.
it.
And I was
Yeah.
like, hug me as hard as you want,
Yeah. And
and
isn't that crazy how one sort of food group can set off this like market cascade that really is harmful?
yeah. And, it's like I didn't have to like go on medication
Yeah.
for that. I had to be aware of a problem and
That's
I had
it.
to be curious about how to solve it. Like dairy was my trigger.
Right.
And actually, I believe going through that reset my body because I used to like for a while, if I had some cheese or something like that, my calves would get so swollen up, like it would be
Hmm.
painful.
Yeah.
But now I seem to tolerate, like I tolerate does I don't get that doesn't happen to me anymore. I think I probably reset it. Um, but I read a study, or I read a, yeah, it was a study. Um, it was about grapes
Hmm.
and about how they affect your muscle tone at a genetic level and can help reset your, like, give you back your muscle tone. And what's so funny is because I was reading it and I'm eating grapes because I'm like upset. I'm a
Right.
grape snob now.
I love
But
grapes. Yeah.
that was one of the things that like when I started to like listen to my body and
Hmm.
I started doing meditation and
Yeah.
I really do believe in a mind body connection.
There's no
Um
question.
it's funny with especially with martial arts. Um you 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 think and if you've never been trained in martial arts before,
Hmm.
you think you know how to kick or punch somebody.
Yeah.
You don't.
Right.
You know, you might get lucky, you might have some strength and everything, but what martial arts teaches you is that we all get weak as we get older.
Yeah.
There's nothing we can do about it. But if you learn martial arts, you learn how to do things that where you don't need strength and
Yeah.
still have power.
And it teaches you to keep moving despite the obstacles. I was at the gym this morning and there's like this 90-year-old guy that shows up all the time. And he goes to the gym and he's not lifting heavy weights, but he's showing up every single day and he's doing some resistance training. I want to be him when I'm
Yeah.
90.
My buddy, he's a doctor as well. He's a forensic
Yeah.
psychiatrist.
Oh, cool.
His goal is to go skiing because you mentioned Colorado. I'm a big
Yep.
fan of Colorado. Been going
Huge.
there for a long, long time. But
Love it.
my buddy must moved out there in the last couple of years, moved back out
Okay.
there from the East Coast,
Yeah. Yeah.
and he went to school at University of Colorado.
Oh,
So
nice.
that's like where he was happy, and he
Hmm.
got divorced, and he's like, I'm gonna go where
I
I
get
was
it.
happy.
Yeah.
So he
Right.
went out there. Now got my I have a good friend, like a brother, who has a
Right.
huge house out there
Love
and
it.
loves to go skiing. And when he turns 90, he wants to be skiing. Like he wants to ski on his 90th birthday. That's his goal.
I absolutely love that, and that is so incredibly doable. If you continue resistance training and
Yeah.
you're feeding your body with whole foods and you're sleeping and you're doing those disciplines, there's no reason why it can't happen.
Yeah. I think it's about being the best possible you. Like I'm never
Absolutely.
gonna be like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I grew up watching Arnold
Yeah, yeah.
Schwarzenegger and Sly Stallone, and
Right.
Chuck Norris, all these badass
Yeah,
guys.
yeah.
And, I guess they were role models.
Hmm.
Uh, but nowadays, I know that there's a perception of like manliness is changing and masculinity is changing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm a man, and
Yeah.
you know, uh, so are all these other people. I mean, yeah, you're a man or you're a woman.
Yeah. And a lot of this, the challenge to masculinity is a cultural thing. It's not a biological thing.
Okay.
It's a cultural impasse that we've reached. And it seems like the pendulum just has swung back and forth, honestly. And so like you hear a lot of people talk about the red pill community and toxic masculinity. And then on
Yes.
this other hand is like all men are bad and they just need to be put to death. And masculinity probably needs to live somewhere in the middle. Men are strong, we're providers, we're protectors,
Yes.
but we still need to be in touch with our emotions and be able to describe our feelings and act upon our emotions in a healthy way so that we are resilient to be able to
Yeah.
provide and protect, but that we don't, pin things up and then explode.
Yeah. We should hopefully be learning, through each generation. And I think maybe, I think sometimes the older generations aren't as willing to accept the newer ones. I think that's maybe
Correct.
part of it
Yeah.
because people are adverse to change.
Yep. I think so.
But you know, again, I think to touch on what you said too, it's also based on lifestyle. And if like my wife was saying that my son, like she says he's not athletic, and it's like, oh yeah, he is. I mean,
Right.
and I see him with his shirt off, and I'm like, yeah, dude, he's so much more defined and more like
Yeah.
muscular than I was at that age. He's thin, but he's got strength, he's got power, and he is an athlete, even
Hmm.
though, he's not playing baseball or some or or football or something like
Right.
that. But, I think that your athleticism, your masculinity, I mean, that is how you define it, I guess, as a man yourself. And maybe it could be different for everybody.
Yeah. And I think there are different, I do believe there are different lanes in masculinity. Like you talked about Schwarzenegger. I mean, that's one
Yeah.
lane.
Yeah, right.
And he is a role model, but
But I'd
there's a
never
lot of,
be, yeah, I don't want to be him.
exactly. Right. I don't have the genetic capability to be what he is, or Chuck Norris or some of
Oh,
those
right,
guys.
right.
But I know my lane. You know your lane. Your son knows his lane, and I think there's lots of lanes within masculinity, and we just have to embrace that.
So so being a high performance male,
Yeah,
and seeking like to be the best you is is that where you start? You have to find a lane? Like,
yeah. I think you have to know yourself, and I think you have to know your strength and weaknesses. But I intuitively believe that we all have something great within us. Now, my greatness may be totally different than what you're great at, but I believe
right.
we all have purpose and there is some form of greatness. It's just discovering what that is and then getting the tools to apply that to society, to the economy, so that we can win.
Yeah, no, I'm totally with you. I totally agree with you.
I look at my boys, for instance. I have one, my youngest son, and he is not an athlete. Like if he picked, he's
Right.
just not. But he is phenomenal with tech and he's phenomenal with helping around the house. And he's just such an encourager. And his lane is totally different. What we're talking about career wise and just
Yeah.
how his life is going to look is going to be totally different than my oldest, who's a freshman or a sophomore now in college. And he's incredibly driven and he likes athletics and he likes working out. And his lane is totally different, but they both have greatness within them. It's just picking that out and helping. And as a parent, that's my job, is to identify the strength and weaknesses in my kids and try to position them so they're set up to win and go do
Yes.
great things.
Yeah, and build upon their strengths.
Absolutely.
I think that's very true. I've tried to play it towards my strengths rather than, trying to strengthen my weaknesses, because
Yeah.
I'd rather have stronger strengths.
I
And
think that's it. And that is a strategic positive, a strategic great for you. Why not capitalize on that?
you know,
We
so
all have those within inside us.
so what do you think is the key? Like, I mean, to good health. People are coming to you. I mean, when we talked about, I guess, the timing and so forth, and kind of being aware of things. But as we get older, especially high performance males,
Yeah.
we are confident, we
Hmm.
know ourselves,
Yeah.
but when should we talk and contact a doctor? Like, like do this because you could die.
Yeah.
You know what I
No,
mean? Like
no, I think that's
we're so like we're men, we can get over this.
yeah. I think we are
We're
conditioned now to only seek help when the room is on fire. The problem is it's a lot easier to put the trash can on fire that's on fire, the fire out from there than if the whole house is engulfed. And so I really like to start developing relationships with men really when they turn 30, because that's when the changes start to happen. It's like most guys are going to need, if you're a high performing guy and you're running multiple companies, you need a good CPA. You
right.
need a good physician that's going to be looking out for you because health is your greatest asset. Everything flows from health. If you're not healthy, you can't have great relationships, you can't have great sex, you can't build a business empire, you can't do any of that if you have piss poor health. And so I really like to start at age 30, developing that relationship. Now, do you need to see me every couple of months? No, probably once a year check in is good.
Yeah.
And we can identify, hey, these are the risks that you need to be looking out. These are the things that need to be on the horizon. And I really try to get guys into the foundations. And what I mean by that is nutrition is one of those foundational pillars that we have to get dialed in. Sleep is another foundational pillar that we have to get dialed in. Movement is
Yeah.
huge. And then just getting baseline labs. And I think if you can get the easy stuff, like I think we want to complicate way too much in medicine, and we've made this way too complicated. But the foundations really make up 80 to 90% of this. The rest is genetics and some minor lifestyle factors.
Hmm.
But the foundations really move the needle. But you need someone who's going to look objectively at that and call you out when something needs attention. Like I've got a lot of high performer guys that come in and they say, well, everything's good. Well, okay, tell me about your sleep then. Well, I'm sleeping 4 to 5 hours. Well, why are you sleeping 4 to 5 hours? And we look at some of their wearables, and their REM sleep sucks. They're waking up 50 times a
Right.
night. And so a lot of this just needs a microscope and somebody who's been there, done that, knows what he's doing, and can help track and identify these patterns early. I think we've just grossly overcomplicated this. The other thing is you need to be looking at things. I always like to re-engineer things or reverse engineer. And so what typically kills guys? Well, we know it's heart disease. We know that guys are at higher risk for suicides, overdoses, alcoholism.
Hmm.
Lung cancer is certainly one, prostate cancer. So if we can identify, hey, what will take you out, we can make you much harder to kill if we can identify this early when you're 30, 40, 50,
Yeah.
60,
Right.
versus when, you get that sudden diagnosis and, hey, you're given 3 months to live.
No, I think that is good. Or start earlier. I said it earlier, health is wealth.
It is.
I want to
Absolutely.
be healthy. I think that's the way you live your best life.
I
Um,
agree.
if if you can't handle it like physically, then that, I don't know, to me that takes away. But I've always been a physical person, and not everyone is like that. But I do worry, I mean, it's just in putting myself in danger, not knowing, like, oh, I'm going to be okay. Oh, no, no. You got chest pains. You better just, you better go to you better get that checked out. You know,
That's it.
and
And that's
it's,
why it's important to get the labs so that you can see, hey, am I at high risk for heart disease?
yeah.
I mean, there are tests that, one test that we commonly do, I get one done every year, is what's called a CT, coronary artery calcium scan. And that just looks at the calcium deposits in the arteries of your heart. And that gives you sort of a good picture of sort of
Hmm.
cardiovascular risk factors along with labs. High performing men need to be doing that, so that you can stay ahead of the curve and identify problems early. Then wait, and what you're talking about, what are you going to do when you suddenly have chest pain and it's over?
Yeah. So getting the right medical care. And so I have a background in healthcare administration and
Yeah,
I've worked in hospitals and so forth. So I'm in the industry. So finding the right setting, finding the right care, like having a primary care doc is good. And I had an excellent one for like
yeah,
years. He became a concierge doctor. So now
yeah.
I priced myself out. I would have loved to have continued with him because he knew me. He fought, he cared, he spent the time and he helped me greatly on my
Yeah.
journey. And that's like you said, you need to take responsibility and accountability for yourself, but your doctor can be a key team member. You
No
know,
kid, yeah, no question. And if you find a good primary care physician, you need to stick with them because they're becoming more and more rare. And exactly what you talked about, everybody, a lot of these guys and women are converting over to concierge practices, and it's because of the economics of it. They can't survive just on
right.
insurance billings alone. I totally get it.
So I mean, I do see it. It's creating a set like I mean, it is really being healthy and being your best. It is not cheap, and you
There is no
recommended the
question. Yeah,
test. Now, so like I joined I didn't find a good primary care doctor, but I found a group that's close to my
yeah,
house. It's convenient. And I'm
right.
not going to a doctor, but I'm going to, a PRN or
Yeah, yeah.
something like
Nurse
that.
practitioner.
And
Yeah,
she's actually really good. Uh,
right.
but going and getting the tests, doing that on a yearly basis, knowing your knowing your numbers. Um, I mean, the good thing about knowing your numbers is like if you've got high testosterone, you get to brag.
That's it. That's it. And that's why part of why I started doing this, and really was to educate men because a lot of men, men are not stupid. They
That's
just
true.
don't have the right framework. They don't have the playbook. And I want to give guys the playbook on how to win at every season 30, 40, 50, 60, 90, whatever that looks like. They just need a framework and a playbook. Hey, you need to get this checked. You need to know you need to know this number. What's your testosterone? And then you be the quarterback or you be the CEO of your health with a great doctor, a great nurse practitioner, a great concierge doctor. It
Yeah.
makes all the difference.
So tell me about your practice and are you limited to certain states or
Yeah, so we have brick and mortar locations in Florida and Alabama, and so we see patients physically in the office here, and we work with a lot of entrepreneurs, sales
where
professionals,
where in
military,
Florida?
police. Santa Rosa Beach, which is Northwest Florida.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay,
think
yeah. Okay,
Pensacola,
yeah.
Panama
It's
City. Yeah,
up near Destin. Yeah, up
that's
near
it. Yep,
Pensacola. Okay. Yep,
yep,
okay. I knew it sounded
that's it.
familiar. I'm
Yep,
from
that's it, man.
Hollywood, Florida,
I love it. I love it. I know exactly where that is.
but
And
I
so
went to
we
school in Gainesville too. So
did you at UF?
yes.
My son is a sophomore at UF.
Oh, good. Go Gators.
Yep.
Gonna be an
Yeah.
exciting football season.
He absolutely he loves UF. It's been a great thing for him. It really has.
No, that's
But
awesome.
no,
Yeah,
we
so you
have
have brick and mortar
yeah, brick and mortar
locations.
locations, but we do telehealth visits online, all 50 states.
Oh,
And a lot of the offerings is, basic labs, testosterone replacement therapy, weight loss, peptides, ED medications, sexual health,
peptides.
hair loss. So peptides And the peptides are emerging. They've been around for a while, but they become really popular. They're basically amino acids, small chains of amino acids that act as signaling molecules in the body. So they tell your body to do something that it already does. For instance, there are
Hmm.
peptides that tell your body to produce more growth hormone that helps with weight
That
distribution, weight loss, muscle mass, fat reduction, all types of peptides, peptides that help with hair loss, peptides that help with fertility or sex drive.
okay.
And so we do a lot of those as
The
well.
L-carnitine that I mentioned, that's one of the, isn't that? It's an
It's
amino acid?
peptide. Yeah, it's exactly. And so there are a lot of amino acids that will be used as supplements. These are just sort of longer chains of amino acids
Okay.
that have a specific function in the body, but very similar.
So what it's interesting to me, so I had a plant medicine doctor here, and so I get a
Yep,
lot of different people on the show, which
love it.
I love. I
Yeah,
absolutely love it. So, these are these what he said about plant medicine is that these plants have compounds that are found in the human body. So, I
right.
mean, we have amino acids in our body,
That's
uh,
it.
and it's finding the right mix and getting the right mix. Like I even
Yep.
think even as far as diet is concerned, I think our dietary needs are individual.
There is no question. I think, and that's the thing. We have made this so complicated, and we've been restrictive. Like, well, you have to do ketogenic, or you have to do vegan, or you have to do this, or I think you have to figure out what you can be consistent with and what works for you.
Yeah.
That's what you have to figure out. And I do believe that we have to. We're in this era of precision, personalized medicine. We need to start acting that way versus having these blanket diets or this blanket nutrition that doesn't work for everybody.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. Of course I agree with you. No, you're much more knowledgeable about this than I am, but I love hearing
But
that I'm aligned.
you've lived this from your allergy testing and the dairy. I mean, you're a great example of that, man.
Thank you. I try to be. Try to be. Yeah, it's I think it's a choice that you make.
Yeah,
I know that back when my co-host died, that was a very low point for me. And
yeah, can imagine.
I decided I can't live like this. I refuse to live like this, and I'm going to do everything possible
Right.
to make this right.
Yeah.
Um, and it's not fun, you know, sometimes it's not fun learning about yourself. And honestly, when I came home from the allergist and I was told, I had like 200 or something, 125, some crazy amount of foods I couldn't like eat.
Right.
I looked in my
Yeah.
pantry and I'm like, what the hell am I going to eat? I was
Exactly.
so depressed.
Yeah.
I was like, it was a horrible feeling, but,
Right.
I changed, like I did it. And then a magical thing happened. I actually started to feel
Yeah.
the food, like
Right.
the way like what you eat, it makes you feel a certain way. Like
Hmm.
if you eat a potato, you feel a certain way. If you eat broccoli, it might be a slight difference. You feel different. You get different energy level, or I don't even know how to define it, but it's you can feel it. And when it doesn't sit right with you, you can feel that too.
And that's so true because the input always is going to dictate the output. It's precisely why you don't put 85 octane into a Ferrari.
Yeah.
You just don't do it because the engine is not built for that. Our bodies are
It,
not built for ultra processed food. They're just absolutely not.
yeah. And if you put the, 85 octane into the Ferrari and it runs like crap, you take it to the mechanic, they're just going to
Yeah,
charge you a lot of, charge you a lot of money. It's still going to run like crap because you're going to keep feeding it the same
that's
crappy
it.
fuel. And
That's it. You can't expect a different output.
yeah, but yeah, and yeah, that's exactly right. It's actually the definition of craziness, right? Is doing the same thing and uh,
Yes.
expecting different results. but
That's
we
it.
do it all the time. But I think it's just because we don't know any better.
Yeah.
But what I wanted to get to with the diet was how easy, like it was so difficult and depressing at the beginning, but
Hmm.
in the end, it was liberating because
Yeah.
I it boiled down to a choice to say,
Yep.
you know what, that buffalo chicken pizza looks really, really, really good, and it
Right.
smells amazing. If I eat it, my calves are it's gonna be painful for a day or two.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's worth it. And, you know, and but that's a conscious decision that I make. It's like I know it's going to be painful, but I made a decision to say I'm going to take the pain and I'll deal with it rather than just saying, "Oh, I can't do anything about it." It's not
Yeah.
my choice. It is your absolute choice. Um,
And
and
life is full of choices. We just need to choose wisely most of the time. We just have to,
yeah,
because
and
those choices compound on a daily basis. And the compounding is what's king and what makes that magic happen.
what about choices that we think are healthy, but they really aren't? Like health food, like
Yes,
everything's that are labeled health food or
you are spot on.
healthy. uh, What do you think about that?
I think you're exactly right. I think the big food lobby is gigantic in the
Yes.
United States. And, we've, health foods are basically great marketing wrapped up in a package. They just really are. The best health foods have one ingredient and are organic and whole foods, pretty much.
Okay.
And but the food industry has been incredible with their marketing and their portion size to sell us all these health foods that really are ultra processed and don't move the needle. So I think again we have overcomplicated nutrition. If you will eat lots of protein for most guys, I mean some
Okay.
guys need less
Do-
protein based on disease states, other things going on. If you will eat protein based foods that are whole, organic, have minimal ingredients, that's most of the game right there.
So that thank you for mentioning that. As I wanted to talk about that protein base. So as you get older, your dietary needs change, and you need more protein, right?
Yes.
As you get old. When does is that like the 35? It's
Yeah, it's yeah, that's no, that's really spot on because we know that typically it's going to be late 30s or early 40s that muscle mass starts to decline. And so if you're not eating enough protein, if you're not
hmm
getting over that hump, you're not going to have the building blocks, you're not going to have the foundation to continue to build muscle and stabilize the process. And that's why protein is so important. And getting the right sources of protein are important as well.
So what does like more protein like out of your diet? Like, is there a percentage of stuff that you should have or a percentage of your diet should be protein, or
Yeah,
how does that
so
work?
there's a couple numbers out there. I tell most guys the easiest way to do it is to take your ideal body weight and eat 1 gram of protein per pound of ideal
Hmm.
body weight. So for me, I weigh about 200 pounds. And so I try to consume about 200 grams of protein a day. And I try to do it from really just whole foods, not a lot of processed foods, and foods that I typically will go to. So for me, I consume a lot of chicken, and so grilled
hmm
chicken breast, one chicken breast the size of my palm is about 25 grams of protein. And so I know that hey, in order to get my protein targets, I need this, or I know that a 12-ounce protein shake is going to have 30 grams of protein.
Okay.
So it's just learning number one, how much protein you need, and then what sources are you going to get it from to be incredibly consistent so that the compounding takes place.
Okay. Good. One of the things I did to get more protein was just starting with breakfast. I wasn't a big breakfast eater, and I would be
Yeah,
like eating cereal. So it's a lot of carbohydrates and a lot of sugar. And
right. Yeah.
we talk about sugar. It, sugar, I thought I was having anxiety. It wasn't anxiety at all. It was sugar.
Isn't that
Sugar.
crazy? I know it's crazy.
I went through meditation. I thought I had this feeling. I actually named him Mortimer. I
Yeah,
thought this feeling, recurring
yeah,
feeling. I did meditation, stress, everything I could.
hmm
I kind of got it to manage. And then I looked at my glucose numbers, and they were my doctor friend said, your glucose is really high. Have your doctor look at that. And I did, I changed things, and I was eating so much sugar, like 3 or 4 times the daily recommended amount easily. And
yeah,
I was like, this is crazy. And I started not, looking at like no added sugar, just cut it out. And that feeling
yeah,
went away like that.
yeah. And I do think that speaks to the fact that we have the ability to heal ourselves. A lot of the chronic conditions that we see are lifestyle induced. And so
Yeah.
if you can, you know, do no sugar, and if you can get protein, if you can get sleep, and you diet on your nutrition and movement and resistance training, that's really 80 to 90% of the battle.
What about, okay, we talked about the health foods and about like, I was thinking of it like from a labeling part, like a labeling point, like saying they're marketed as being healthy, something healthy. But really, when you look at it, they're not healthy at all. Like just a
No,
loaf of bread, which seems like that's a normal thing,
right.
right? You have a
Yeah.
sandwich with bread. It's not dessert. You look at the sugar levels in those breads. I was blown away by that.
It's
I have
crazy.
a no sugar bread that I buy at the it's a no sugar wheat bread at Kroger. It is
hmm
awesome and it stays fresh. Like it's a good bread and it
Yeah.
stays fresh. Like
hmm
it's not preserves. It doesn't need it.
Right. Yeah. It makes a difference.
It really does make a difference. So sugar, but like supplements like creatine. Like I hear like, you know, at my age I should take creatine for to for muscle tone and such like that to keep like that. But it's like 200 milligrams or something, and I'm seeing the supplements that today I looked at, it was like 5 milligrams. Like, no, that's not going to do it.
Yeah, I am a huge believer in it. So I
Okay.
take 20 grams a day, which is basically 4 scoops, and I cycle through that. But the creatine is one of the most studied supplements ever. Incredibly safe, benefits outweigh really the minimal risk that
Okay.
it um, has. But it's great for just brain cognition, muscle mass, muscle preservation, and just stabilization. And so I really think men and women need to be on creatine supplementation. We just do. Now the dose is typically it's 1 capful, or 5 grams mixed in 8 to 10 ounces of water daily. If you go over 10 grams, that's when you really start to see more of the cognitive benefits. And then a lot of guys will use up to 20. But I think really there are rare exceptions. Most guys and most females need creatine.
Okay. Good. Does that mess with like antidepressant medication or anything like that?
There,
Not, I
there,
don't do that,
yeah,
but I'm thinking about women.
there are some rare instances, yes, because a lot
Okay.
of those antidepressants, the atypical antipsychotics, some of the psychiatric
Okay.
medications, they interact with virtually everything. It's just the interactions are,
Okay.
and so that's why those are some
Really?
really difficult medications to be on. A lot of people need them,
I
and
didn't
there's some
know
valid
that.
reasons to have them. But yeah, the interactions. Look at there's significant interactions with a lot of the antibiotics, and we're all on antibiotics from time to time for
Yeah,
sinus
right.
stuff or skin
Oh
infections, and
yeah.
there's significant interactions with a lot of the antibiotics.
I remember a friend of mine who was on antibiotics. I forget he couldn't eat some type of food.
Yeah, right. There's several types of that will interact with different citrus
I think it was,
fruits and
yeah. I was like, you had to be careful.
right. So
So,
it's crazy.
that's so interesting. Dr. Sanders, I so much appreciate your time and your wisdom and your knowledge here. I think this is going to help so many men and so many of our listeners. Uh,
It's been fun, John.
it really has been fun. Um, I think I value your time and respect your
Yeah,
time.
sure.
So we try to keep it, probably need to wrap it up, but,
Yeah.
how do people best reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm on most socials, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube at Dr. Steven Sanders. And if you ever have a question, comment, seriously, direct message me. I respond to all of my
Okay.
DMs and happy to help out in any way I can. My goal is to just educate men, give them the framework, give them the roadmap so that they can succeed in every season of life and be their best self.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. Any other parting words besides that? I mean, honestly, you wrapped it up perfectly. I shouldn't even put you on the spot like that.
No, I think I love the work you're doing. I love living on purpose and being resilient. I think those things are, incredibly valuable skill sets. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Love the content.
Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Well, thank you, listeners, for sticking with me all these years, but getting through another episode of Swift Kick in the Ass. I'm your host, John Curren. With me is Dr. Steven Sanders. Dr. Sanders, again, thank you so much for your time. And everyone, keep on living on your terms and like, subscribe, tell your friends, put the comments in. I'll be answering them too on this when it goes out. But would love to hear from you and just keep kicking ass, everybody. Peace. Hope you got your ass moving. Until then, until the next time, I'm out of here. Peace.